oils and medical cannabis. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are having a great day. Weather update, we're actually in the upper 30s, lower 40s. The sun is shining, but we're supposed to get a little dab of snow, I think sometime tonight or tomorrow or something. But I'm ready for spring. Love it. We had some nice days this week, so it was a little teaser. In fact, I actually saw some spring bulbs already growing. They were probably up this high out of the ground this morning when I was walking. I'm like, this is not right. This is January. This should not be happening. But I guess it's global warming. Anyway, I'm talking about suppositories and dyspareunia. Now, I have talked about suppositories in the past and a little bit about what those entail as far as the fact that you can take a higher dosage of THC via a suppository than you could ever consume it if you were trying to eat it or smoke it. So it's an amazing avenue for using THC as medicine and not getting high on it. So first of all, what is dyspareunia? So this is a medical term that's used to describe very painful intercourse. And there's, a whole lot of causes for that. There's infection, inflammation, excuse me, endometriosis, pelvic floor muscle spasms can cause that, scar tissue from childbirth or from surgery. But for the interest of this talk, of course, it's about menopause, because menopause can create this kind of setting for most women. In fact, patients that I talk to, they're like, I don't care if I ever have sex again, and it hurts so bad, I'd rather not, and I don't know what to do about it, and it's a real problem. A lot of women don't want to discuss it, actually, because they're embarrassed or for whatever reason, but no need for that, because we all may face that at some point in our lives. So the conventional approach for treating dyspareunia is depends on really the cause or the suspected cause of why you have intercourse pain. But the most common recommendation from your provider is going to be to use a good lubricant. You can use a vaginal dilator. You can do pelvic floor physical therapy. Sometimes surgery is required, but wouldn't recommend that unless it's absolutely necessary, because with surgery, of course, any kind of surgery, you're going to get scarring, which could actually make pelvic floor pain worse and or intercourse pain worse. So I wouldn't recommend that. But if you have, like, let's just say you've got you've had children, and maybe one of your experiences was very sort of traumatic, and now you've got a weak pelvic floor, and so you can have some pain because the uterus is kind of dropped down a little bit into the vaginal vault because of laxity of the pelvic floor muscles. So you would need some pelvic floor physical therapy in that case. In the setting of menopause, the cause is obviously a hormonal change. It's not an imbalance, because we're all going to go through that. We're going to have hormonal imbalances when we reach menopause. It's just the nature of the way that it is. And so you have a loss of estrogen, a loss of progesterone. Estrogen in particular is very, very important for skin health. And your vaginal vault is skin. It's just a different kind of skin. So it's usually very elastic, and it's very moist, and it can take a lot of trauma and friction. But as you get older, you go through menopause, you lose your estrogen, then that changes the nature of that skin, and it becomes very dry, and it's lost its elasticity. And so friction that occurs when you have intercourse can cause tiny tears in that skin or that tissue, and then that's going to result in scarring, and so then you're going to have continued pain. So it becomes kind of this vicious cycle. One of the most common approaches is hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, and you could do that either in forms of a topical cream that you could rub on, like, the inside of your wrist right here or forearm, or you can apply it to the labia. You can actually apply it to the labia, or you can actually insert it vaginally, and that will help. it will obviously help. But some women don't want to use synthetics or chemical HRT. So another approach will be your bioidentical hormones, and those are hormones that are made from plant-based medicine, like wild yam. I don't know what all's in them, but anyway, it's more of a natural, no synthetic approach, and you can definitely put that on the labia, and that helps with not necessarily pain with intercourse, but it helps with other things like your ability to achieve a climax, or just the kind of the when you use that, your actual labia will change in architecture. It'll be more like it used to be before menopause happened. So there's that. But what I'm doing, and because this is one of the things that I have dealt with, so once I had breast cancer, um, you know, having intercourse was very unappealing. And of course, the more you don't have it, the worse it's going to feel when you try. So that happened. And my oncologist actually said it was okay for me to use estradiol, which is hormone replacement therapy, intravaginally, because it wouldn't be systemically absorbed in that fashion. And when you've had breast cancer, you don't want to use hormones anymore. You don't want a systemic hormone going into your tissues, because that can actually make the possibility for recurrence of breast cancer go up. So, but he said, you can do this. It's okay. It's safe and all that stuff. And so I did it for a long time, but it wasn't working. So what I have found is the cannabis suppositories. Those have really literally been a game changer. So there was a study that was published in 2016, and this study determined that 2 out of 3 women who used a cannabis suppository for dyspareunia reported reduced pain during intercourse. There was another small study published in 2018 that found very similar results, with 8 out of 9 women reporting reduced pain after using a cannabis suppository. So, as with everything else, cannabis related, because of its scheduling with the federal government, we're limited in the amount of studies that are being done. And, the government doesn't want to, sponsor studies because, heck, it's a terrible drug, and it's a gateway drug, and it's evil, and it's a devil's lettuce. And I could go on and on, but, so there's not a lot of really big studies that support any of this. It's pretty much people's experiences, word of mouth, sharing, that sort of thing. So we know that suppositories are small capsules. They're inserted into the vagina, where they dissolve and they release their active ingredients. So the active ingredients in a cannabis suppository are the cannabinoids THC and CBD, and there are some other cannabinoids involved with that too. So it's not just those two, but these cannabinoids are going to interact with your body's endocannabinoid system, which is it's the major neurotransmitter system that helps regulate a variety of functions in our bodies, including pain perception, inflammation, and muscle spasms. And this interaction between the cannabinoids in our endocannabinoid system is what gives cannabis its therapeutic properties. So there are really cannabis suppositories you can pretty much use without any side effects at all. So one, you can use a really high dose and you're not going to get high. 2, you might have a little insertion site interaction, maybe not. I think the biggest thing is that they're just a little messy. So, if you use it at bedtime, it's gonna melt, it's gonna dissolve, and then it's gonna kind of leak out a little bit, which is expected. But the ones that I make personally are made of cocoa butter and shea butter. So it is a little, and I also put patchouli in mine because it's really good for skin. But anyway, so it is a little bit messy. That's what I'm trying to say there. So if you do have a little insertion site reaction, that should resolve within just a couple of days and not be a problem at all. So some sources, if you look it up, you can Google it, and some sources are going to say, oh yeah, you use that amount of cannabis, you are going to get high. There's no doubt about it. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, I have never yet experienced that. And my suppositories, I've calculated the milligram at 65 milligrams. Now, if I was to try to do that, I'd never die, but I would feel like I wanted to die if I took that much orally, or if I tried to smoke that much, for heaven's sake. I'd be there all day trying to smoke that much. That's not going to happen. So anyway, that's how I'm using them, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I have seen at least 50% improvement in a decrease in pain. So there's my testimony about using the suppositories. So let's see. In Southern Illinois, there are no dispensaries that carry suppositories. You may be able to find them, like, I don't even think Chicagoland has them. I've looked in Illinois, and I can't find anybody that carries them. I know they carry them in Canada, and maybe some other dispensaries like Oregon or California or something, but we can't get that because it can't be shipped across state lines, because it is illegal in some states, to date as we speak. It's still not been legalized for medical use, so it can't be shipped across state lines. So I just make my own, and it's working out pretty good. So there is the story of dyspareunia and the using of cannabis suppositories to help with that condition. Of course, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you would like a person who can help you sort of navigate the landscape of how to start using cannabis for your own concerns, I am a cannabis coach, and you can find my information on my website, which is www.cannabisremedy.org. You can just go to the Work With Me, I think is what it's under, tab, and you'll see what that cannabis coaching program is all about. So, and one more thing, we are having a Women's Natural Health Expo in Carbondale on the 25th of February, and I will be there with a booth to support cannabis questions and stuff that people might have. So, all right, that is all I got. You guys have a great one. Ask me questions. See you later.